You promised to claim me. I trusted you. I was a fool. She has no wolf. She is nothing. Then why does my every instinct demand I protect her? He marked another woman while I watched from the crowd. The whole pack saw. They expected me to shatter. They were wrong. For 23 years my wolf was silent. A curse, they whispered. But when the betrayal cut deepest, something ancient opened its eyes. And the wolf that rose was not the one anyone expected. The training pit smelled of iron and sweat. Alara ducked beneath the strike aimed at her throat and drove her elbow into her opponent's ribs. The impact sent him stumbling, but she was already moving, sweeping his legs and pinning him to the packed earth with her knee on his chest. 3 seconds. That was all it had taken. "Yield," she said, barely winded. The warrior beneath her stared up with something between fury and disbelief. "You fight like you have nothing to lose. Maybe I do not." She released him and rose. Around the pit, a dozen pack members had stopped their sparring to watch. None applauded. They simply stared, as if she were a creature they could not classify. The ghost girl wins again. The voice sliced through the silence like honeyed poison. How inspiring. A wolf-less woman playing at being a warrior. Ilara recognized that blend of sweetness and venom without turning. Vespera descended the stone steps, flanked by females who giggled on cue. Her copper hair caught the morning light, and her amber eyes glittered with practiced cruelty. 23 years old and still no wolf. Tell me, Ilara, do you even remember what it feels like, or were you born this empty? The words hit exactly where intended. Ilara felt the old wound pulse, the hollow space where her wolf should have been. But showing pain only invited more. "I remember enough," Ilara replied flatly. "I remember that fangs are not the only way to tear out a throat." Something flickered across Vespera's features before her smile returned. "Enjoy your little victories in the dirt. They are all you will ever have. After all, Corvin may tolerate your presence, but tolerance is not love. When the bonding moon rises, we will all see exactly where you stand." She walked away before Ilara could respond. The bonding moon. 3 weeks away. The sacred ceremony where wolves claimed their mates before gathered packs. For most wolves, it was celebration. For Ilara, it had always been a reminder of everything she lacked. But this year was supposed to be different. This year, Corvin had promised. She thought of him now. Alpha of Thornfall Pack. The man she had loved since she was 15. The man who had found her bleeding on the border 8 years ago, carried her to safety, and said, "You are not nothing. You are mine to protect." She had clung to those words like a lifeline. Over the years, their bond grew through stolen moments and whispered conversations. The brush of his fingers against hers when no one watched. The way his eyes found her across crowded rooms. He never made promises that could be held against him. Only glances that lingered too long. Touches too intentional to be accidents. Crumbs she gathered with both hands, convincing herself they would become something whole. "You are different from the others," he told her once. "You see me." And she did. She saw past the alpha posturing, the political games. She saw the boy who lost his mother too young. The man who carried burdens he could never speak of. How could she not love him? But Corvin also disappeared. He would vanish for days, return smelling of other places, and never explain. Ilara swallowed her questions because she understood. He was an alpha. She was wolf-less. Whatever existed between them had to remain in shadows until he was ready. 2 weeks ago, he had taken her aside, gripping her hands, his gray eyes burning. "This is our year," he said. "At the ceremony, before the Supreme Alpha and all gathered packs, I will claim you. No more hiding." Ilara had wept. For the first time in years, she let herself weep. "I know what they say about you," he murmured. "But I do not care. Wolf or no wolf, you are the one I want." She believed him. God's help her. She believed every word. Alara left the training pit and walked through Thornfall territory, trying to quiet the storm in her chest. The pack compound spread across a valley between ancient mountains, timber lodges, and stone halls connected by packed dirt roads. She had called it home for 8 years, but it had never truly felt like hers. The wolves she passed did not greet her. Some looked through her, others sneered openly. A few watched with quiet pity that was somehow worse than hatred. Ghost Girl, Shellwalker, the Curse. The names followed her like shadows. Alara climbed to her usual refuge, a rocky outcrop above the compound. She sat against cold stone and stared at the sky, trying not to think about Vesper's words. She almost did not notice the presence behind her. Almost. The awareness prickled across her skin. She turned, hand reaching for her knife, and froze. He stood at the tree line 30 feet away, motionless as carved shadow. Kale, Supreme Alpha of the 5 packs, ruler of the Conclave, the most powerful wolf in 3 territories. Alara had seen him before, always from a distance, surrounded by advisors and the weight of authority. He was perhaps 30, but carried himself with the gravity of someone who had seen centuries of pain. Sharp features, dark brows, hair black as midnight falling past his shoulders. He was beautiful, the way a drawn blade was beautiful. But what made her breath catch was how he looked at her. His steel-gray eyes were fixed on her face with unnerving intensity, as if solving a puzzle he had contemplated for years. No hostility, no dismissal. Just focus, absolute and unwavering. Supreme Alpha. Alara rose quickly, lowering her head. I did not realize anyone else came here. Kale did not respond immediately. His gaze traveled across her face as if memorizing every line. You train every morning, he said finally. His voice was low, the kind that did not need volume to command. You defeat opponents twice your size, then you come here, alone, and stare at the sky as if waiting for answers. Alara felt her pulse stutter. You have been watching me? Something flickered in his eyes before the mask returned. I watch all wolves under my authority. It is my duty. But even as he spoke, Alara knew it was not entirely true. She had felt his gaze before, in moments she dismissed as paranoia, in the training pit, at gatherings when she tried to disappear. Why would the Supreme Alpha notice a wolf less nobody? You should return to the compound, Kale said, something almost reluctant in his tone. The path grows dangerous after dark. He disappeared into the trees before she could respond, leaving Alara alone with her racing heart and questions she could not answer. The woman arrived 5 days before the bonding moon. Alara first saw her from the upper balcony. The carriage that rolled through the gates was extravagant, polished ebony with silver filigree, drawn by 4 matching horses. But it was the woman who made Alara's stomach clench. She was stunning like a viper is stunning. Hair black as midnight fell to her waist. Her crimson gown clung to curves designed to weaponize attention. And her violet eyes swept the compound with the assessment of a general surveying conquered territory. When those eyes found Alara, they paused. The woman smiled. It was not friendly. Who is she? Alara asked a passing servant. Lady Seraphine of Valmore Pack, daughter of Alpha Draven Valmore. Why is she here? The servant hesitated. For the bonding moon, to find a mate among the gathered packs. Alara watched Seraphine walk toward the lodge like she already owned it. It means nothing, she told herself. Corvin has already chosen. But the cold knot in her chest refused to loosen. That night at dinner, Alara understood why. Seraphine sat at Corvin's right hand, the position of highest honor. Alara, bound by protocol, sat 3 tables away. She watched Seraphine lean toward Corvin, red lips curving. Watched Corvin laugh, his posture relaxed in a way it had not been with her in weeks. Watched Seraphine's hand rest on his arm with casual possessiveness. And watched Corvin let it stay there. She is good. A young woman slid into the seat beside Alara. Mousy brown hair, eyes sharp as flint. Lady Seraphine, 3 broken engagements in the Eastern Territories. They say she came for the Supreme Alpha, but he refused her an audience. So she pivoted. Alara's throat tightened. Corvin. Corvin. The woman extended her hand. I am Ren, distant cousin of someone important enough to get me an invitation, but not important enough for anyone to care what I say, which means I hear everything. What have you heard? Ren studied her with something like sympathy. That Alpha Corvin made promises to a certain wolfless woman. Also that Lady Seraphine has spent 3 days reminding him of everything that woman cannot offer. Political alliances, powerful bloodlines, an heir with a strong wolf. Corvin loves me. I am sure he does. Ren's voice was gentle but unflinching. The question is whether love will be enough when he is choosing between his heart and his ambition. She disappeared before Alara could respond. The days that followed were slow suffocation. Seraphine was everywhere, in the gardens, in the halls, at every meal beside Corvin. She never attacked directly. Instead, she wielded kindness like a knife. Alara, darling, you look exhausted. Training must be grueling for someone in your condition. Such a practical hairstyle, so sensible. I admire your persistence. Lesser women would have accepted their limitations. Each encounter left Alara feeling smaller, and Corvin was slipping away. He still smiled when their paths crossed, still offered reassurance. But there was distance in his eyes now, hesitation in his touch. 2 nights before the ceremony, Alara found him in the stables preparing for a midnight ride. Corvin. He turned. For a heartbeat, she saw the old warmth. Then it flickered and dimmed. Alara, it is late. I needed to see you. Since Seraphine arrived, you have barely spoken to me. There is much to prepare. Is that what she is? Preparation? His jaw tightened. It is politics. Seraphine's family offers alliances I cannot dismiss. Then look at me and tell me you still intend to honor your promise. Silence stretched between them. Things have become complicated, he said quietly. Complicated. The Supreme Alpha has concerns. The Council asks questions. Taking a wolfless mate carries implications. You said you did not care. I need more time. Perhaps next year. Alara released his hands. Goodbye, Corvin. She walked into darkness before he could see her shatter. The night of the bonding moon arrived wrapped in silver light. The ceremonial grounds spread across the great clearing at Conclave Territory's heart. Ancient standing stones ringed the space, carved runes pulsing with soft luminescence. Torches cast dancing shadows across hundreds of wolves in formal ranks. Alara stood near the back in a simple white gown. Tradition required unclaimed wolves to wear white. On her, it felt like a shroud. The ceremony proceeded. Wolves stepped into the sacred circle to make claims. Names spoken, hands joined. The Supreme Alpha acknowledged each bond from his stone throne. Alara watched with numb detachment. Then Corvin's name was called. He walked into the circle, magnificent in ceremonial black, his posture radiating confidence. He did not look at Alara. Alpha Corvin of Thornfall, have you come to make your claim? Corvin's gaze swept the crowd. For one agonizing moment it passed where Alara stood. It did not stop. Instead, his eyes found Seraphine, radiant in crimson at the circle's edge. I claim Lady Seraphine of Valmore as my bonded mate. The world stopped. Alara felt the words like a physical blow. Around her, murmurs erupted. Some surprised, others knowing. A few casting glances her direction with satisfaction. Seraphine glided into the circle. She took Corvin's hand, and as she did, her violet eyes found Alara's. Pure victory. Alara could not move, could not breathe, could only stand frozen as Corvin marked another woman's throat with his teeth. The claiming bite. The bond made flesh. And somewhere in the crowd, Alara died. Not her body. But something inside her that had clung to hope for 8 years finally crumbled to ash. Tears slid down her cheeks. Her legs trembled. Her vision blurred. Then, across the clearing, she felt it. A gaze like winter fire. Kyle, the Supreme Alpha, had risen from his throne. The silence that fell was absolute. 500 wolves held their breath as the Supreme Alpha descended, each step deliberate. His frost-colored eyes never wavered from Alara's face, burning through her tears, her shame, her shattered pride. The crowd parted before him. Alara wanted to run, but her legs refused, rooted by something stronger than fear. Kale stopped at the sacred circle's edge, 10 feet from where Corvin stood with Seraphine's blood on his lips. Supreme Alpha. Corvin's voice was steady, but tension showed in his shoulders. The claiming is complete. If you wish to offer your blessing, I do not. 2 words, quiet as snow, devastating as avalanche. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Kyle ignored them. His gaze shifted to Seraphine, and the woman shrank back. Lady Seraphine, your family's ambitions are well known, as are your methods. She found nothing to say. Kale turned as if they had ceased to exist. His eyes found Alara again, and something in his expression shifted. He walked toward her. The whispers rose to a roar. What is he doing? The wolfless one? This is madness. Kale stopped before her, close enough that his shadow fell across her like a shield. Ilara. Her name on his lips was question and answer at once. Supreme Alpha. Her voice came out broken. I do not understand. You do. You have always understood. He extended his hand, palm up, fingers open. I will not take you, he said quietly, for her alone. I will not claim you like a prize, but if you choose to take my hand, I will spend whatever time I have proving you were never broken. You were waiting for someone worthy. Alara stared at his hand. Her mind screamed this was impossible, that she was nobody, that the Supreme Alpha could not want someone like her. But her heart remembered every moment she had felt his gaze, every time his presence stirred something she could not name. Her hand found his. The instant their skin touched, Alara gasped. Heat flooded through her, spreading outward like sunrise. It rushed through her veins, reaching places that had been cold and silent for 23 years. And somewhere deep inside her, something stirred. Kale's fingers tightened around hers. His eyes blazed with fierce wonder. There you are, he breathed. He turned to face the stunned crowd. I, Kale, Supreme Alpha of the 5 packs, make my claim. I claim Alara as my bonded mate. Let any who challenge step forward now. No one moved. The presiding elder stumbled forward. Supreme Alpha, the woman is wolfless. Sacred laws state. Sacred laws state a claim made in the circle cannot be broken. The claim is made. It is done. He looked at Alara, and something softened. Come. You do not need to remain here. She let him lead her away, past whispers and stares, past Corvin's shattered expression and Seraphine's fury. The last thing she saw was Ren, standing at the edge with tears streaming and a smile like hope. The chambers Kale brought her to be in the Conclave Fortress's highest tower, overlooking the entire valley. Alara stood at the window, watching moonlight paint the mountains. You are trembling. She was. I do not understand, she whispered. Why would you do this? Destroy your reputation? Defy the elders? Claim a woman with no wolf? Kale moved closer. Do you remember the first time I saw you? She turned. He was nearer than she realized. You would not remember. You were 15, newly arrived at Thornfall. I was visiting for the Winter Council. I saw you in the training yard, barely able to hold a sword, bruised and bleeding. Alara remembered those days. An older wolf knocked you down. He stood over you and laughed, told you to stay down. The memories surfaced, sharp and bitter. You got back up. Alara blinked. Anyone would not have. I have watched wolves twice your size yield. But you got back up. Again. And again. until he walked away because he understood you would never stop. His fingers brushed her cheek. That was when I knew. Wolf or no wolf, you carried something most wolves would kill to possess, a spirit that refused to be extinguished. Tears burned behind her eyes. You watched me. All these years, I watched you. He did not look away. I told myself it was admiration, but tonight, when I saw what he did to you, something I have kept caged for years broke free. When you took my hand, she said softly, I felt something. Something that has been silent my entire life. I felt it too. What does it mean? It may mean your wolf is not dead. She has been sleeping, waiting for the right catalyst. His silver gaze held hers, waiting for a bond. The word mate hung between them. I will not pressure you, Kale said, stepping back. What happened tonight does not obligate you to anything. Whatever exists between us will grow at your pace, or not at all. He moved toward his chambers. Kale. He turned. Ilara crossed the distance between them. She stood on her toes, placed her hands on his shoulders, and kissed him. For a heartbeat, he was motionless. Then his arms came around her. The kiss deepened. His hands spread across her back, pulling her closer. Ilara felt that heat again, something powerful rising inside her like a tide. When they broke apart, both were breathless. Kale's eyes had changed. Steel gray now ringed with gold, his wolf pressing close to the surface. Ilara, if we continue, I do not know if I can stop. Maybe I do not want you to stop. He closed his eyes, fighting for control. Not tonight. Not when you are still reeling. When we come together, I want it to be because you chose me with clear eyes. Not because you are running from him. He kissed her forehead with devastating tenderness. Tomorrow, we face what comes. Together. He withdrew, leaving Ilara standing in moonlight with her heart racing and something deep inside her finally beginning to thaw. That night, she dreamed of silver forests and running on 4 legs. A massive wolf with midnight fur beside her. She woke gasping, her body burning. Something was awakening. The changes came slowly at first, then all at once. In 3 days, Ilara's body became a stranger. Her senses sharpened until she heard conversations 3 rooms away, smelled the specific blend of pine and storm that meant Kale approached, and the dreams. Every night, the same. Running through silver forests, a white wolf, a dark wolf beside her. She woke each morning with her blood on fire. Something is happening to me, she told Kale the 3rd night, tremors running through her body. You are not coming apart. He crossed to her. You are coming together. Finally. What does that mean? Your wolf. She is waking. That is impossible. The healers said there was nothing there. They were wrong. His frost-colored eyes held fierce certainty. Some wolves need a catalyst, a trauma, a threat, or a bond. When I touched you at the ceremony, he continued, my wolf recognized something in you. Dormant. Waiting. A wave of heat tore through her. Ilara gasped, doubling over as something inside her, huge and ancient, began breaking free. Kale? He caught her, carrying her to where moonlight pooled on the floor. Do not fight it. Let her come. I do not know how. You do. His hands cradled her face. She has always been part of you. Let go. The pain came. Not injury, but transformation. Bones reshaping, muscles reforming, every cell rewriting itself. Ilara screamed, or perhaps howled. She could no longer tell the difference. Then, suddenly, it ended. She opened her eyes. Everything was different. Colors sharper, sounds clearer. She looked down and saw white paws, fur like fresh snow, glowing with inner luminescence. She was a wolf. After 23 years, she was whole. Kyle knelt before her, his eyes blazing gold. Ilara, you are magnificent. She stepped forward on legs that somehow knew how to move and pressed her muzzle to his cheek. The bond snapped into place. She felt him. Not just his presence, but his essence. Years of longing and restraint. The love he had carried in silence. Mates. The word was no longer question. It was truth. Alara shifted back, naked and trembling, tears streaming down her face. Kyle wrapped his cloak around her. "I felt you," she gasped. "Everything." "As did I." She looked at his face, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not the Supreme Alpha, just Kale, the man whose soul was intertwined with hers. "I love you," she said. The words came without thought, natural and undeniable. Kale's composure cracked. Raw emotion flooded his features. "I have loved you since you stood back up in that training yard. I have loved you through every trial, in silence, because I did not believe I had the right." He kissed her. What followed was everything and nothing like before. Where their first kiss had been discovery, this was declaration. He kissed her like she was sacred, like every moment of restraint was finally released. When they finally joined, the bond completed itself. She felt his desire as her own, his pleasure became hers. An endless loop that built until the world dissolved into white fire. Afterward, they lay tangled together. "I did not expect this," Kale murmured. "Any of it." He pressed a kiss to her hair. "I had accepted I would rule alone. And now?" She smiled. "Now I cannot imagine wanting anyone else." Dawn broke. A knock shattered the peace. "Supreme Alpha, the council has assembled. They are demanding an audience." Kyle's expression hardened. "It begins." "What will they do?" "Try to invalidate the bond. Claim a wolfless woman cannot be a true mate." His jaw tightened. "They do not yet know you are no longer wolfless." Alara sat up. "Then we show them. The council is brutal. They will try to break you." "Let them try. I spent 23 years believing I was broken. I let others define my worth because I had no wolf to prove them wrong." She met his gaze. "I have one now. And I have you. If they want to fight, I will give them one they will never forget." Pride blazed in Kale's eyes. "My mate, my equal." They rose to face the storm together. The great hall was designed to intimidate. Massive pillars rose toward shadowed ceilings. Banners of all 5 packs hung from iron brackets. At the center sat 12 elders, their eyes sharp with calculation. Behind them stood representatives from each pack, including Corvin and Seraphine. And at the far edge, Vespera watched with barely concealed anticipation. Ilara walked beside Kael, head high, white gown flowing like moonlight. "Supreme Alpha." Elder Thornwood rose. "We have convened to address the irregularities of the bonding moon ceremony." "Her name is Ilara," Kael said mildly. "My mate. Address her with the respect her station demands." Thornwood's eye twitched. "Your claim upon Ilara. Sacred laws are clear. A true mating requires both parties to possess wolves. Without that, the claim is invalid." Furthermore, another elder interjected, "The bloodline must be preserved. A wolfless mate cannot bear children with the strength our packs require." Before Kale could speak, Alara stepped forward. "Elders, you speak of sacred laws and bloodlines. You speak of what I cannot do, cannot be, and cannot offer." She paused. "Today, I give you my answer." She reached inside, found her wolf waiting, and let her rise. The shift rippled through her in silver light. When it completed, a wolf stood where a woman had been. Massive, larger than any female in living memory, fur pure white, luminous as moonlight, and eyes burning with pale gold fire. Silence. Then a trembling voice from the back. "Impossible." An ancient woman pushed through the crowd. Grandmother Mordain, oldest wolf in 5 territories, keeper of forgotten histories. She approached slowly, rheumy eyes fixed on Alara's glowing form. "Lunar blood," she breathed, "the bloodline of the first wolf, extinct 1,000 years ago." Chaos erupted. "What does that mean?" Mordain faced the council with joy on her ancient face. This woman you dismissed carries the most sacred lineage in our history. The first wolf was mother of all our kind. Her descendants possessed power beyond ordinary wolves, a direct connection to the moon herself. Her gaze swept the stunned elders. You wish to dissolve this bond because she was unworthy? This woman is more worthy than anyone in this hall. More worthy than any wolf born in 1,000 years. Alara shifted back. Kale wrapped his cloak around her, pride blazing in his silver eyes. Does the council still wish to challenge my claim? Elder Thornwood's face went ashen. His mouth opened, closed. No words came. One by one, the elders bowed. The representatives followed. The warriors. The servants. Every wolf in the hall lowered themselves before the woman they had mocked for 23 years. Vespera's face twisted with disbelief before she too bent her head. Corvin stood frozen, devastated understanding written across his features. Seraphine's composure had shattered completely. Alara met Corvin's eyes. She expected triumph, vindication. Instead, she felt only distant sadness for the man who had thrown away something precious because he lacked courage. Ilara, his voice cracked, if I had known, you would have claimed me only because of what I became, not because of what I always was. Corvin had no answer. Alara turned away from him, from the past, from the girl who had waited 8 years for scraps. Kale was there, hand extended, eyes holding everything she had ever wanted. She took his hand. Come, he said softly. We have a kingdom to rule. They walked from the hall together, leaving a council in ruins and a legend already spreading. The wolf-less woman who became a queen. The broken girl who turned out to be the most powerful of them all. Outside, the sun rose over the mountains, painting the world gold. Alara stopped at the fortress steps, breathing crisp morning air, feeling her wolf settle contentedly inside her. What happens now? Kale stood beside her, solid and warm, his soul intertwined with hers. Now we live. We rule. We face whatever comes together. He lifted her hand to his lips. And we never hide what we are again. Alara smiled. For the first time in her life, the future did not feel like a threat. It felt like a promise.